Hello, my name is robert-lomax. Welcome. I do hope you enjoy these videos. If you've just tuned in to hear the conversations with Antemedi or some of the other Andromedans or see the distant viewing, then by all means skip ahead to video 2 Antemedi Speaks. Alternatively, you might like to stay with me a short while and hear an explanation about the third dimension and duality, because that shows us where the foundations for distant viewing and channeling begin. In order to do this, we need to look at who we are. Some of you may already understand and appreciate that we are multi-dimensional beings split across several different dimensions. And of course, we exist in a hologram. Here's a small sketch of a hologram showing the interface of different dimensions all in the same place. Yes, different things in the same place. Very hard to conceptualize. Everything seems solid, but it is in fact a hologram. We were born into this world which has a collective consciousness around it. We plug into that collective consciousness, and if it has negativity, of course it will feed back to us. So we have to be careful about the fact that we are plugging in to an existing consciousness, and we're unaware of that. We are both the program and the programmer. Information comes into our subconscious from all sorts of places, including what we think and what we experience. Being multidimensional, we can have an experience of being separate from ourselves. This separation goes all the way down to the smallest denominators of the subconscious. Those thoughts and feelings can affect our physical bodies in ways now that even science is beginning to take on board. However, these thoughts and feelings have a feeling that they are separate from us, and that is their experience. The subconscious has its own experience, yet at our dimension we will not feel that or conceive of that. We have a software program that runs, and we experience it as a software program.
Imagine a planet with a debris field floating around it. See that your head is the planet, and those rocks and particles were once a part of you before you decided to experience separation. Each thought has its own free will by having a temporary experience of separateness. These individual thoughts and feelings are pebbles and dust that gravitate around you. They are still you, but affect you subconsciously in ways you do not often understand.
Did you notice some of the rocks in that debris field had faces painted onto them? So let's take a few of those rocks or pebbles from the asteroid belt and explore them, see what they're about. Here's one. It says, "I like the feeling of being encouraged. I like to be helped by other people." That sounds really good. "I like others to make me feel happier." Yeah, that's good. I like that as well. In fact, I'd like to have these things as much as possible. That's great. Perhaps you've had times when you can remember these feelings. Unfortunately, not only are these feelings elusive, but they actually have little substance to them. For in the other hand, in duality, I will automatically have their counterpart, their split, their individuation and separate experience. In order to be encouraged, I have to be doubting or worried. To be helped by other people means I must be in a position of trouble. I have to be worse in order to be made better. To be happier, I have to be sad. And of course, to have these things as much as possible, oh gosh, I've got to have all those terrible feelings as well. Some of this duality is relative judgment, good or bad, but it shows us how our minds are beginning to work. how separate thoughts cause us problems. It's the same as trying to grasp water from a running tap. You know it's there, but you can't hold it. Our existing mental constructs are part of our own jail. Here's a typical example from several years ago when I met Antemedi, an Andromedan female. We looked at the comparisons between our music. As humans, we often create songs of angst and we wallow in that. Some songs may have an ending where all comes good. In this way, we get our pleasure in escaping from pain and angst. That, however, is relief from pain. It's not really pleasure at all. Much of their music is about bliss and wonder and has a different use and affects the senses differently. Some of you will have heard that walking the middle path or walking a path between extremes is a way to cope with duality. However, putting together the two opposites in some form of understanding means that we have an answer or a conclusion to that. So we begin to see programs in a different way. Instead of seeking through a program on random run, we can reprogram our subconscious so that it thinks in a different way and we can act from a position through the heart. So instead of having pebbles, we can have pearls of wisdom. In addition to duality, fear is one of our main stumbling blocks. It's also a block because it stops us from being who we are, stops us from doing things that we would sometimes wish to do. Who amongst us would wish not to be brave? Sounds crazy. Who would cling tooth and nail to the desire to be brave? Yet we forget in order to be brave, we have to be afraid. But who wants to be afraid? I don't, do you? So, in order to be free from fear, I have to let go of the idea of being brave. So, what I'll have to then say is, I wish not to be brave. That goes against our very programming. It sounds odd and corrupted, but these are the drivers that make us do things that we sometimes have no awareness of. So how do we become less afraid? For a start, we have to stop wanting to hold on to fear. Yes, that's right. We hold on to fear like a comfort blanket, and within its folds we become blinded. Imagine you lived in a house. You had everything you wanted, food and water, and the house was surrounded by a very tall stone wall all the way round, save for one boarded door. And then one day that boarded door was left open and you could see beyond into a greater world where there were no boundaries, where there were things that you could discover. It could be exciting, but what happens if there's danger there? We can say to ourselves, let's not go there because there could be problems. Then our mind will run riot. It will find all sorts of things that could possibly go wrong or fear, and therefore we stay within our existing boundaries. So we can then say, fear has protected us. Fear has stopped us exceeding our boundaries. But again, when we hear this out loud, it sounds very silly. So this takes us back to the start of this very brief intro. Who are we? And what stops us from being more, being different, or being who we were already? Rejoining that part of us that we don't know and are separated from. It involves clearing negative blocks by understanding and removing the hurt of past trauma. Living in duality in a different way. We can literally reverse the process of individuation and separation. As we clear ourselves, our filters change, or are rejuvenated, our awareness changes. Effectively, information that we read through our filters is changed. We see things in a different way. Not only do we see things in a different way, but because our aerial is clearer, we can tune into other radio stations as well. And this is the basis of distant viewing and channeling, being open to other dimensions to receive information from them. So, the clearer you are, the clearer or deeper will be the contact. By this process, it's possible, therefore, to enhance the portals that allow unlimited communication, distant viewing and telepathy, not only with ourselves, but other beings. I hope you can see why I thought it was important to show you how it's possible to converse with aliens, but importantly, what inhibits it. That having this brief information would give foundations to the following videos about Andromedans, and it would have greater context. We should aspire to receive information of the highest quality, and not have it badly distorted by any channeler's filters. It doesn't mean there are no distortions, but the precursor to undertaking this type of communication is that it's incumbent upon the channeler to sweep themselves daily to see if they can find any distortions, to listen to their guides who can pick up on anything that needs attending to. I also wanted to give context to the fact that we are multi-dimensional beings, existing across several planes at the same time. Aliens are also multi-dimensional, and of course we can interact with them at different levels on different planes. All of this information may sound rather strange, so I would say to you, don't trust anything I have to say. Don't trust anything anyone else has to say. Research it for yourself. Find out as much as you can, but in the end, you have to trust what your heart says. Following on from this video, there will be others uploaded over a period that will show Andromedan conversations and other esoterical work. Look out for videos Antemedi Speaks. In addition, you can visit the website. There are deeper conversations and drawings. Concepts to show how some of our science is wrong. For example, electrons do not fly around the nucleus as we were taught in school. Information being supplied to all of us at this time is sweeping away old ideas of who we are and what our science believes.